When you think about Intel, the first thing that comes to mind is the lead they blew to AMD in the CPU space. Recently, they stepped up their game with their newer generation of processors, all in an attempt to regain their throne. And trying to add to that momentum, they're trying to enter the GPU race with a multi-year roadmap that they have all laid out. This roadmap is all under the umbrella of Intel's new high-performance graphics card brand, Intel Arc. Intel Arc is almost a direct shot at NVIDIA. They're not only trying to target their GPUs, but they're trying to attack their competitors' software as well. This is extremely smart on Intel's part. One of the biggest reasons why NVIDIA is on top is because the quality of its software holds up to the quality of its hardware. Targeting something like NVIDIA Broadcast is a great way to take away some of NVIDIA's loyal customers. However, that also means they need to create something that is better than NVIDIA's version, which will be no easy task. NVIDIA and AMD have been the frontrunners in this space for over 10 years, so Intel's going to need to solidify themselves in this space with their first cards they release. Intel getting into the GPU race will do great things for the average consumer. The more competition, the better. With supply shortages that have lasted almost 2 years and the prices of all GPUs not going down all that much, this may be the breath of fresh air that we all needed. There's not too many companies in the world that can enter a new market and instantly become a frontrunner, but Intel could definitely be one of those exceptions. But it is worth noting that Intel has actually tried this before. In 2008, the LAKEY project was an attempt by Intel to make a discrete GPU. This idea was eventually scrapped. This doesn't mean that Intel has a bad track record with their graphics cards though. The integrated graphics in their CPUs are very strong, and they're commonplace in a large number of modern laptops. I mean, Minecraft didn't lag that bad on your parents' old laptop, so they must have been doing something right. The information released on their new Intel GPUs are a mix of rumors and some facts. But there's more than enough information to get a general idea of what we can expect. The codename for this GPU series is Alchemist and is working with the new XE HPG architecture. The new XE HPG is the first architecture made by Intel with gaming being its main purpose. The specs of the Alchemist series is harder to explain than you might just think. There just isn't enough information to go off of. It'll be built as a series of graphics cards with the hope of cementing themselves into the top of the market right next to AMD and NVIDIA. Where the Alchemist might just fall behind is that its top card is aiming at the RTX 3070. Having your top-end card of your first generation of discrete graphics cards take aim at one of the strongest and most popular cards on the market is very ambitious, to say the least. If they're able to pull it off, they will instantly hit the ground running and have a bright future in the GPU space. If it flops, they'll need to regroup quickly with the release of the RTX 4000 series coming closer and closer. At the end of the day, we're not really looking for the greatest graphics card of all time. We're looking for something affordable and competitive. But if they fail performance-wise and are 2 generations behind their competition, they'll have little to no hope of being a future staple in the market. But with all the information that is available to us, a flop does not seem to be the likely outcome. No true benchmarks have been released yet, and the exact specs are still up in the air. The specs for this card that we do know of, do check out. Everything is set up for Intel to make a grand entrance into the GPU space. But if there's one thing that Intel is really good at, it's fumbling a great opportunity. I mean, look at what they did with AMD. Just because the specs are there, that doesn't mean it's going to be a good card. I mean, you could put 8 gigs of RAM in anything. I mean, look at the RX 580. All of these specs need to be put delicately together to make an overall good graphics card, and we will not know how well they did until it's in the hands of consumers. Moving away from the performance of these cards, we need to look at what one of these GPUs is actually going to cost. All of us would love for Intel to undercut AMD and NVIDIA and force their prices down, but that seems very unlikely. Everyone is feeling the same shortages, and Intel is known for having consistent shortages and overall issues when it comes to manufacturing. There are no release prices for any of these cards yet, but with their competition in the range of $400 to $600, we can assume their price will be somewhere around there. In the last few years, we've actually seen Intel undercut AMD in the CPU space. For once, Intel is actually more affordable than AMD, and there is just a possibility that this could carry over to the GPU space. There's no way that Intel would be willing to go above the competition, because that would simply just kill them, and they still need to build trust with their customers. In the computer space, higher prices are earned, not just given. Unless you're Alienware, then you could just slap whatever price you want and just hope that some fool will come and buy it. The release dates of these cards are still unclear, but we have been given a slight range. The expected release date of the cards is the Q1 of 2022. This means from January 1st to March 31st. Also, the removal of the Q1 release date on the Intel Arc page does support the idea that we may need to wait a little longer than expected for the release date of this new line of GPUs. Intel does have a roadmap over the next few years, with Alchemist only being the first step in a 4-step plan. Are you interested in getting one of these cards when they're released? Let us know why or why not in the comments below.
We made a video about laptops and desktops and comparing the two. Click the link to find out more. And if you liked this video, feel free to like and subscribe for future content.